G'day guys, welcome to another Makita update. Got a bunch of new tools to show you and then maybe we'll look at some patents. But first, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button. If you want more of these videos to come out, then that's really important at the moment. YouTube's going through a few changes at the moment. Views are down across many channels. Most channels seem to be suffering at the moment. So if you could hit that like button, leave a comment, it all helps keep this thing chugging along. And if you want to go one step further, there's now a join button down there. There's memberships on the channel now. If you sign up as a member, you get to see these videos a little bit earlier, a week, sometimes a few weeks, sometimes a few days before everybody else. And as well as that, there are some videos that are already uploaded that will never be here on YouTube. So have a look at my channel if you want to see those. And you also get extended videos that have bloopers in them from time to time and stuff like that. So if that interests you, please have a look down there in the description, and there's the join button down there somewhere, depending on what device you're watching this on. If you're watching it on a TV, well then you'll have to go onto your phone or a laptop or some shit. But if you want to help and it'll cost you absolutely nothing, just hit that like button. Cheers guys, let's get into it. First up, if you haven't seen this heat gun that I reviewed a few weeks ago, I'll leave a link down below and up in the top corner of the video, and there might be some links to buy it down in the description as well. So go check that out if you haven't seen it, and then we'll get on to the new stuff. Let's go 18 volt. The DUP181 is a 18 volt cordless pruner. Finally, we have the one that should have been released right at the beginning. Makita first released a 36 volt one years ago that had cords going to two 18 volt batteries. Then we had the 12 volt one standalone battery, which is a nice little unit but very crazy price. Then we had the 18 volt one with a cord going to the battery, and now finally the one they should have made at the beginning, an 18 volt standalone. But is it going to be a decent price? I like this feature of the 30, 25, 18 and 10 mil. That's nice. I haven't seen another one do it quite like that. It's a good little tool. I love these things. And you can also get it with a holster, as you can see, and the extension handle for cutting twigs down on the ground. Not up in the air, down on the ground. Seems a little bit odd. Anyway, another 18 volt one is the new, we'll do the snowblower. Okay, we're not going to do the new cordless 18 volt multi-tool. No, we're going to do the snowblower. So this is the 40 volt SN001G. In the States, that might end up being the GNS01, not sure. As you can see, snowblower does about 135 square meters or 1450 square feet on a single 8 amp hour battery, the non-tabless battery, the F battery, not the H battery. And has a couple of lights on the front, which is pretty cool, and there's a lever for directing the snow in the direction you want to go, left or right. And it's variable speed, as you can see. Not the sort of thing you're going to see on this channel, okay? It will never be reviewed on this channel because, as I've stated before, no need for it here. I've never seen that much snow that's on the screen at the moment in my life. It doesn't snow here, so I won't be doing that one. Next up, we have the new tying tool, the rebar tire, the 1.6 millimeter, which is what, 16 gauge. And as you can see, if you look closely there at the way it's tied, very different to the last one. The last one used to just sort of wrap loops of wire around, whereas this one ties it a bit more like you would tie it if you were tying it by hand. Yeah, the 18 volt one needed an improvement. Hopefully this one stands the test of time, because these things take a bit of a beating. As you can see, an extension handle available for that also, which is pretty good. Save the back when you've got a lot of work to do. Next up, a very cool looking reciprocating saw, the JR003G, or in the States, the GRJ03. It's designed for cutting pipes. Now that doesn't mean you can only cut pipes with it, of course. You can use it like a standard reciprocating saw and then just chuck the vise on it when you want to cut through some steel pipes or something. So it's a nice looking bit of kit, and if you use one of those curved blades, it'll be even better for cutting through pipe. Doesn't seem to have as much TPE overmolding as other older reciprocating saws from Makita as well, which always tends to come off around the handle area. So this one looks like it's just plastic, good old fashioned, trying to make them look a bit more like tools. Plus it's made more for an engineering workshop where there's grease and oil around, so you don't really want the TPE overmolding for that. Next up, another one for the engineering workshop. It is a flat head grinder. The GA056G is Makita's first flathead grinder. That's right, Makita haven't ever made one of these, not even a corded version. Who would have thought? So as you can see, much tighter angles. You can get into much better spaces than you can with a standard angle grinder. And it's great for, as you can see, getting in and grinding down some welds, get those welds tidied up. And even if you're cutting, so many times I'm cutting things, trying to get into tight spaces with a standard angle grinder, and the head gets in the way all the time, especially when your disc's being ground down a little bit and you just can't quite reach something. All of these tools that I'm telling you right now are out, but they're probably not out where you are yet, but they are on the way. They're basically being released by Makita Japan, and so they're not too far off, including this one here, which is the new UC031G. As you can see on the screen, it's got an M at the beginning. In Japan, they put an M at the beginning of the outdoor power equipment stuff. But for the rest of the world, you can drop that M. And for the US, well, it's different again. I'm not sure what number that will be yet. So this is, as you can see, a smaller version of the UC004G. The top handle arborist style chainsaw. It comes with a smaller blade, just a bit more lightweight, a bit more ergonomically designed, and yeah, just easier to use if you are up a tree for weight. Perfect for home gardens as well, because you don't need a big rear handle chainsaw for that sort of thing. Clip it on your belt, as you can see. Nice big oil reservoir there by the looks, so that's good. Hope to get my hands on one of these soon and give it a bit of a whirl and show you guys it in action. Whichever ones of these you want to see, let me know down in the comments which ones you want to see first of all the tools that I'm saying in this, and I will get onto it. And now we've got the new drill, which took me a bit by surprise. Didn't think this was coming. This is a 180 Newton meter drill. If you think the last one was 140 to 150, depending on what source you look at, but 180 Newton meters of torque. It's absolutely crazy. And it's Makita's first, I think, 3-speed drill. And this is of course a 40 volt tool. And this is available as a drill or a hammer drill or combi drill. And has a nice big light on the front, which is hopefully better than previous light, although in the shots I've seen it still looks like a standard sort of light. And it's the HP003G, of course. As for AFT, even though the HP001G has AFT, it doesn't really work. By the time this thing spins you round and cuts out by itself, you will have already taken your finger off the trigger. But it looks now finally like they've got one that is functioning properly, like basically most other brands do now. Right, back to that 18 volt multi-tool I mentioned. It is going to be the DTM53. This is the 5.2. Now the 5.3 is going to be modeled a bit more on the 5.1, which was a much narrower tool with the lever over the front here rather than out the side like the 5.2 is. And it is an OIS and Starlock multi-tool. In other words, it's basically OIS, but it will take basic Starlock blades. It won't take the blade that's on this particular tool at the moment, because this is a Starlock Plus blade. So the new one will take OIS, the standard ones everyone's used to. Starlock standard, but not Plus or Max like this one will. It looks to be a bit more comfortable in the grip department than the old 5.1, and it is also brushless, which of course the old 5.1 isn't. So it's basically a brushless version update of the DTM51. Haven't got any video footage of it yet, but let me know if you want to see that reviewed. It also has available as an optional accessory a depth guide, so it'll have a depth guide for, let me just put this blade in a decent orientation. So we'll have a, that wasn't very good, a depth guide going that way. So if you're plunging into a wall or whatever, you'll know how far you're going in that way. And you can also have one that is a height one as well. It's basically the same unit, you just turn it and that'll keep at the same height. If you need to keep 2 inches off the floor going along doing a cut, then it'll help you with that. or it'll help you with the depth stop, like I say. There's also a dust extraction accessory to go with it as well. I'm not sure if that comes with it, probably an optional accessory. Next up, there is something on screen that I know a lot of you are looking for, especially in one part of the world, and I'm going to tell you what it's called on the patent. Okay, it is a tube expansion tool for expanding an end of a synthetic resin fluid pipe. So this tube expansion tool has been kicking around for a while. I've seen a few patents, and this one still looks like it's a little way off, but because there's been so many patents, it's clearly in the works, and it might be closer than we actually think. And in the same vein, here is a flaring tool. This one goes into a standard drill and is used to flare pipes. And for those of you who are obsessed with impact drivers, like myself, there is a bunch of impact driver. Let's take these adapters and things off. There is a bunch of impact driver patents. There is one for a 40 volt that has a much shorter body on it up the top here. So we're looking like it's cutting off basically that back section there, the screw-on bit, that would be gone, and maybe a little bit of the front. So we're coming in at about that size for the body of the tool. Every improvement in impact driver length is a big plus as far as I'm concerned, although depending on what you're doing, if you're using a big battery like that, it might not be all that much help. But there are a ton of impact driver patents around at the moment, including another oil impact, although in the patent it appears to have 18 volt batteries rather than 40, but basically it's all going to be the same mechanism in here. Which battery they chuck on the bottom is neither here nor there really. So there is another one in the works, but there has been, I've seen patents for oil impacts and other smaller impacts for a long time now, but these are ones that have only been released recently within the last couple of weeks, but also only filed earlier this year. So they're relatively new, so they're definitely still working on this. And so hopefully we'll see some even shorter 40 volt and 18 volt impacts, and hopefully a new 18 volt oil and an 40 volt oil impulse driver as well, because we haven't had a 40 volt impulse oil driver. Ugh, these names of these things are, half of me's thinking hydraulic in my head, half of me's thinking surge. Everybody's got different names for these things, and yeah, all gets a bit confusing in the head sometimes. Anyway, I digress. I want an oil one of these. Everybody's got fairly good ones out at the moment. Makita's only one they've got is over 15 years old, so it would be about time for an upgrade. Thank you for watching. Please consider liking, subscribing, all that stuff. I will see you later. Cheers.